What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Cornelia, back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. Another week, another hostile takeover. How about that? Another week, another hostile takeover. We are, y'all. I just, ugh. Who would have thought? Okay. Another week, another hostile takeover. If my audio sounds weird, I got to turn, child. I don't know what's going on with it. Let me turn the mic up a little bit. Test 1, 2. Y'all, it's just, I swear. Is there a way for us to stay engaged, right? Not ring on the finger, engaged, but engaged politically, socially, and stay abreast of what's going on without putting our mental health at risk? Is there a way to do that? Because low key, I feel like I'm harming myself trying to stay abreast on what's going on. I do not want to be one of those people that be checked out, don't know what's going on. You tell them, they be like, "What? What you mean? I ain't hear nothing about it." I'm not that person. I got to know what's going on. But it is harming my mental health. It is, y'all. It got to be a better way. Because every day is doom and gloom. Every day you get online, it's something. Lord help me. Like a part of me is going about to shut all this down. Okay, shut all my socials down. Shut this podcast. Everything. I'm just gonna be in the house and I'm just gonna socialize. If you don't talk to me on the phone, if I'll be texting, I just ain't gonna know about it. I'm just ugh. But it's a lot going on. On the positive, let me say, I did go to the Brandy and Monica concert. I had me a time. You need to give it up. I had about enough. It's not hard to see the boy's mind. I done went down to the Boy Is Mine concert at the Kia Forum. Let me say this. Y'all, the forum is raggedy. It's the venue. Ugh, it just, ugh. But the concert was spectacular. I had me a time. As someone who, y'all know I've been listening to music since the beginning. I had one of them parents. I had a dad who was listening to music. He is a part of a musical family. Kids used to say, my parents made me listen to their stuff. That was the facts. I had to listen to all of my dad's music. But he will also buy records. Shout out to Columbia House. Remember Columbia House? You can get 10 albums, 10 tapes, or 10 vinyls for like $1. Remember that? They would be like late releases. It'd be after the fact, but you got them. He will order all kinds of stuff. So I had a very deep musical palette. So I've been listening to stuff from day one. But as it relates to Brandy and Monica, I remember where I was and who I was as a human being when those two artists came out. When both of them debut albums came out, I remember them. I was in a time in my life where I was spending significant amounts of time over my childhood best friend's house. And we played, especially that Monica album. We played the Brandy one too, but that Monica album, we ran that Miss Thing album into the ground. I mean, it was on repeat. And I think that came out in 95. So I was turning 13 that year. And Monica and Brandy are a few years older than me. I don't know if they're technically Gen X or elder millennial, but I'm an elder millennial. Shout out to us. That concert felt like a warm hug to Gen X and elder millennials. The energy was unmatched. The DJ was DJing. The songs was songing. It felt extremely relatable. And again, it transported me back because I remember where I was when I was listening and following those two women's careers from day one, from the beginning. Okay. I grew up with them. So that concert was great. The LA one, night one, everybody was there. Everybody came out. Of course, Money Long and Kelly Rowland were two of the openers. And I posted this on Threads, y'all. Kelly Rowland is the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in my life. Hard stop. Ain't debate. I ain't up for debate. Kelly Rowland is the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. Literally. She had about maybe a 25-30 minute set. Fantastic. Did her thing. Money Long did her thing. I low key only heard Money Long. I didn't see it because when she was on stage, I was trying to get me a piece of pizza and buy me some merch. So I had things to do. Okay. I was on the hunt for me some merch and a pizza because I hadn't had dinner. Okay. So I was doing that. She sounded good. But I got in my seat, had really good prices, good floor seats. I bought them last minute day of because y'all know what I told y'all when I bought them tickets, them last shows this spring and summer. I'm not getting tickets early anymore. I'm done with that. Okay, I'm done with that. We bought these tickets about 5 o'clock p.m. Okay, I was still putting my makeup on when the tickets was secured, but it was well worth it. Both artists were fantastic. Special guest. Okay, let me get to that. Special guest LA Night 1. Ella May. Or is it Ella Mai? I forget. Is it Ella May or mine? Either way, came out, sung a song. 50 Cent came out, did about 3 songs. Kalani came out, did Folded. Ty Dolla Sign came out, sung some songs. I didn't know those songs. But by Ty Dolla Sign. I didn't know those songs. Then Miguel came out, did Adorn, hit it a cappella. Brandy and Monica continued on throughout and was weaving in between those. It was a great night. I had a great time. If that show has not come to your city yet, I highly recommend you attend. You need to go to that show, especially if you're in that age group that remembers and has been following these women since the beginning. It was great. I wore the elder millennial uniform. Yeah, I learned we got a uniform. And they be trying to play us on social media. But hey, it is what it is. This is the elder millennial uniform. The consistent pieces are the jean jacket and the red lip. They said if we got the jean jacket on and the red lip, the matte red lip. But I had me on the camo pants, a bodysuit. I swapped the jean jacket out for a blazer, red lip. I had on some black and white dunks. Hey, I looked good to me. Everybody, hey, it was more people with the uniform. People was also dressed up because I think they had a dress code. I ain't get the mess about the dress code, okay? I ain't had no time for that, but apparently it's a dress code. They want you to dress up. So do that if it's in your city. But overall, y'all should get tickets. It was a good old time. It was a good old time. Let me know if y'all went though, or if you're planning to go. I don't think you should miss this one at all. Production quality, great song choice, great costumes, outfit, fantastic. Everybody was cute, face beat down. It was just good. Yeah, and I hope you get to see it in person. Let me know though. Have you went to the show in your city? Are you planning on it? Let me know. Hit me up. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. I talked a bit in the past week about what was going on with the government, specifically the government shutdown as it relates to SNAP benefits and so on. As of today, when I'm recording this podcast, it looks like a deal is in the process of being made. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. There have been multiple sides of this debate happening from yesterday and today. Both sides have valid rationales. I have my thinking, but before I get into it, let me say it was a couple comments on my YouTube or the last video talking about SNAP benefits and people needing food, and there's been chatter all over social media, which I talked about this, but I'm gonna reiterate this. A lot of people think it's just so simple to say things like people should get a job so they won't go hungry. Just get a job. I don't want my tax dollars going to people who are lazy. They should just get a job. Y'all, people who are on SNAP benefits, a good amount of them have jobs. Walmart been getting called to the carpet for the last couple of weeks for the simple fact that their wages are so low. It in a way forces a lot of their employees to also be on SNAP government and government assistance because they don't want to pay a better wage, a living wage. Stop talking to citizens about them needing to work harder and do all of these things when we need to be shifting the focus to another entity. Stop. People who are disabled, foster children. There are so many people who don't have opportunities and need those benefits and help to survive getting it. It ain't as simple as just get a job. I just like y'all, how did we why is it that hard to understand? I be really wanting to know. Stuff seems so hard for people to understand. And I don't know if they be faking like they don't understand, if people just mean spirited, or if they really don't get it. But I just can't. It's not that hard to get. Especially when you in some of these expensive cities and states. Look at California and LA County. Low income is considered anything under $72,000 a year. 72K in LA County is considered low income. $72,000 somewhere in Indiana and $72,000 in Michigan will get you a long way. It'll take you places. In LA County, it's low income. To be comfortable as a single person, and these are statistics, they done ran the numbers. To be comfortable based on the data in LA County, you have to be making at least $110,000 a year to be comfortable. And that's comfortable. Listen, based on these apartments they be having out here, our comfortable still ain't gonna be y'all comfortable in other places. They be trying to get us. You be paying 2,500 a month for something with the old cabinets. Like I'm telling y'all, listen. So when people be trying to attack Americans and children and families and disabled people, just veterans who are on public assistance, y'all need to cut that out. Also, life comes fast, y'all. Stuff happens. Life can change in an instant. You never know what can happen in your own life. So please be careful how we talking about people. Y'all, ugh, just ugh. But back to the shutdown. It appears y'all know the certain side of the political spectrum controls all branches of government. We know this. There was a holdout. We just had the election. One Democrat, the Democrat side did really good in the election, but there was still conversations about the government shutdown because one, you had people who weren't working at all. Two, you had people who were working who weren't being paid. You had three, people not getting SNAP benefits. You had a lot of things going on. And a lot of families in America are not set up to be able to work multiple months without getting paid. We're not set up. It wasn't no lead in, wasn't no prep, wasn't no warning. But also on the other side of the spectrum, to get stuff done in this country, you got to hold the line. You have to hold the line. So a lot of the debates over the past few weeks was what's worth it? I know one side of the party was, we can call them the blues, was holding out because of the ACA stipulations and the discounts expired. So now people's health care is going to triple and quadruple and become extremely unaffordable. So they were holding out with that. The other side was like, we ain't negotiating on none of this. You approved the bill that we put over and that's it. Ain't gonna be no talking. Ain't gonna be nothing. So what happened? 8 blues. I think it was 6 to 8 blues. Flipped a vote. Didn't tell Chuck Schumer and them, and got the bill through the Senate. Y'all, it's so now it's almost gonna be passed in the House. Also, what happened was Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson did a political move that a lot of people did not understand. And because they didn't understand it, they were talking crazy on social media. It was bad. So let me read it because I want people to hear it based on the article. I'm reading an article out of Blavity. Shout out to Black Media. Okay. But I also want to remind us, especially when it comes to the Supreme Court, there are only 3, maybe 4 justices that seem to be on the right side of history. And so far, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson has not led us astray. If you hear her speaking, her dissent, all of her, everything she's been saying, that has been evidence enough that she ain't gonna be in there doing nothing crazy. So when the news broke about her maneuver and people started reacting negatively, I would challenge us to hold a beat, use discernment and critical thinking skills, and ask herself, would she, based on everything she's shown us, really do something that's harmful? Or is there a strategy behind it? Let's put our thinking caps on, okay? But let me read this. It said on Friday, Supreme Court Brown Jackson granted a temporary stay on an order to make full November payments for the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, SNAP. Yes, she granted a temporary stay on an order to make the full payments for SNAP. Her ruling paused a Friday deadline set by a Rhode Island judge, John McConnell, for full SNAP payments to be made to 42 million people who received assistance from the federal food aid program. His order that the Trump administration, sorry, I can't say that name because you know they'd be flagging me. His order that the Red Hats must pay full SNAP benefits for November by tapping into contingency funds as well as money from other sources have been the latest in a series of federal court rulings over the matter. The administration has been inconsistent in its rhetoric concerning the payments filed a motion opposing his ruling. Now, her temporary pause is not a permanent block against the ruling, nor is it a ruling on the underlying authority of the court to order the administration to distribute SNAP funds. Instead, it sends the case back to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the First Circuit. Each Supreme Court justice is assigned one of the circuit courts, with Jackson covering the First Circuit and thus issuing the order. This is what she wrote. Given the first course representations, an administrative stay is required to facilitate the First Circuit's expeditious resolution of the pending stay notion. It also indicates her expectation that the First Circuit will act on the matter quickly. She goes on to say, this administrative stay will terminate 48 hours after the First Circuit the First Circuit's resolution of the pending motion, which the First Circuit is expected to issue with dispatch. Now, everybody saw that and was acting crazy. Then Jasmine Crockett chimed in to explain, and she said the ruling was a compromise to accelerate the case in the face of a conservative dominated Supreme Court that might otherwise delay it. So what she essentially did is kicked it back down to the courts that would rule on it in a more swiftly way, in a more quick way, in a quicker way. Y'all, I could have said it better. I'm tired. It's been a long day. Instead of keeping it in the Supreme Court with her fellow justices that will immediately either pause it or delay it or shoot it down. So it was a strategy move on her part, which again, we gotta be, she ain't done nothing crazy to have us questioning her decisions. And she's also probably one of the smartest people that we got on the side of good. So you're probably need to cut her some slack. But I say all that to say, as of even a few hours ago, the Supreme Court extends, and this is per an article I'm reading, the Supreme Court extends the temporary pause on $4 billion in SNAP payments for November, which means the Supreme Court tonight extended a freeze on a federal judge's ruling that will require the Red Hats to fully fund the SNAP food program in November. So the decision means the government for now does not have to distribute the $4 billion in additional SNAP funding as required by that judge that I just mentioned. This will most likely become a moot point if the shutdown ends, because they'll have to still go back to fully funding the SNAP benefits. But if the bill doesn't pass, they're not paying. They're not paying, which has been calling into the question, which has been calling to the forefront the question of where the money at. Because if you refuse to pay something, if there's a surplus, everybody knows there's a surplus. It's historically been a surplus, and in previous years, allegedly, because I didn't do my full research, I'm just basing it off what I heard people say. So I'm going to admit that I did not read this myself. It may not be true. People have been saying in the past when there's been government shutdowns, previous presidents have used that surplus money to continue to fund SNAP benefits regardless of the government being shut down. And all of a sudden they're not. Either the money gone, it's been stolen, or you want people to starve to death. That's them the only options that I see. What else could it be? You want people to go hungry. That's it. Or the money gone. Where the money at? That money gone, y'all. I'm telling that money is gone. So this is where we are. Now, which senators was it that the blues that voted who broke rank? Who was it? Who was it? It was Senator Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada, Dick Durbin of Illinois, John Fetterman of Pennsylvania. You know, he be the one with them damn tracksuits on. Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire, Tim Kaine of Virginia. Tim Kaine was Hillary's running mate. Remember when Hillary ran? Tim Kaine was her running mate in Virginia. Also I got a picture with Tim Kaine. I didn't expect this from Tim. Okay, I didn't expect this from Tim. Angus King of Maine, Jackie Rosen of Nevada, Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire. They're saying all of them, or some of them are retiring soon, and none of them are up for re-election in 2026. So it's strategic because they're not gonna have no consequences to this. You can't vote them out. By the time it get there, people gonna forget. And we also ain't gonna have no free and fair elections by that time. So it ain't gonna even matter anyway. But there's that. So that's where we are. Obviously, if stuff continue to happen, I'm a update. But there have been and will continue to be, I'm sure, debates on whether they should have held the line or not. Let me say this though. Whether you think boycotts work or not, whether this was the right move or not, whether it would have meant something or not, you can ask all those questions and weigh all those scenarios. The reality is, at some point I predict, and this is just me predicting, allegedly, whatever you want to call it, we're going to have to lock in on something. And it is very difficult to get everybody on board with things like that because, one, everybody not in a financial position. Two, everybody's sacrifice ain't the same. And it's not like the civil rights movement where literally everybody black didn't have rights. Now it's different levels, different classes. People got different amounts of skin in the game. But we all know that we are entering times in this country that we have not seen personally. We've read about it in other countries and other places or in other time periods. We know what Jim Crow was. But we right now have never lived through that. But we going to have to, and it's going to become a point in time where something's going to have to happen and we're going to have to do something drastic to move the needle, like boycott, allegedly, or whatever. I don't know what that looks like because I'm not a strategist. But I do know, and I used to say this all the time years ago on this podcast. When you hit people in them pockets, it changes things. Look at what happened to Target. Everybody didn't boycott Target, only a certain group. And look, so whether this shutdown and was the right move, who knows? But it will likely come a time where something is going to happen again in that same vein. And there might be even another shutdown because what was agreed on in that bill is not going to be enough. It's probably going to happen again. So as people, we need to save. If you have resources, please continue to help people that you care about, your neighbors and strangers. If you have a strategist mindset, lock in and think of what the solution will be. Because the same way that was boycotting them buses back in the day, it moved the needle. It was a different time and a different reason, different purpose. But everything that happened around that time mattered. Every little thing. Everybody don't have to do everything. It just got to be enough to move the needle. So I want us to wrap our minds around that. It ain't an all or nothing. It doesn't have to be. If there's a significant amount of people, just enough, it can make an impact. It can change. It can move the needle. But there are multiple needles. It ain't one needle, one all or nothing needle. We gotta get that and put that into perspective. So for me, I'm gonna keep my ears open about what's going on. I heard about some boycotts and stuff. Still haven't. I don't know the specifics. So everybody I talk to also does not know the specifics. People are saying we're not supposed to be shopping during Thanksgiving and Christmas. Okay, but what does that mean? Is it like no Black Friday? Is it no Christmas gifts? Cool, because y'all ain't getting nothing anyway. I said this before on Black News a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was even last week. Hey, they ain't mean nothing to me. Y'all not getting anything. Not the Black News listeners. I'm talking about everybody else. Hey, you wasn't getting that no way. Hey, the kitchen is closed. But I know that boycott don't mean like food and stuff. Again, I just want to know specifics so that I can prepare and I can deliver the news back to y'all. We can all prepare because I'm down. I'm down to put my stake into the ground. Y'all already know what's up. I ain't been to Target since when was it? January? Forget them. You're done. Okay, you're done. But I do want us as individuals to start thinking about what sacrifice would look like for us as an individual and as a community. Okay. Just something to think about. Let me know your thoughts though. Yeah. Yeah. You can find me at Canelia on social media. Lastly, I want to give a quick shout out to some of our folks that was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this past weekend. I'm going to name the entire list for the 2025 inductees, but y'all know when I get to these two groups or duos and groups, y'all already know what it is. Okay. Under the performer category, and it states celebrating the iconic artists who have created music whose originality, impact, and influence has changed the course of rock and roll. And real quick, I think we talked about this before, how people seem not to be confused why it's not only rock and roll performers in being inducted. Baby, all genres of American music stem from rock and roll, which was created by who? You got that right. Okay. So it is Bad Company, Chubby Checker, Cyndi Lauper, Joe Cocker, Outcast, okay, Soundgarden, The White Stripes, and under musical influence, it says this award acknowledges artists whose music and performance style have directly influenced, inspired, and evolved rock and roll and music impacting culture. You got Warren Zevon and Salt and Pepper salt and peppers here, y'all. Cool, chef's kiss. There's also the musical excellence category. This award recognizes individuals who have dedicated their lives to crafting influential, important music infused with originality, achieving a level of timeless distinction. You got Carol Kay, Nikki Hopkins, and Tom Bell. Y'all, Salt and Pepper and Outkast. Let me tell you something. Y'all already know how I feel about rap music. I am a child of hip hop. I know y'all so sick of hearing me say this. Y'all know y'all tired of it. I don't care. I am a child of hip hop. Okay? And my youngest memories of listening to music include me listening to rap. Some of my earliest albums that we had, the Fat Boys, Houdini, Curtis Blow, we had them. Guys, we had them. Okay, we scratched the Fat Boys record up because we thought you could scratch like they was doing on Crush Groove and Beat Street. You can't do that in the Fat Boys movie. You couldn't do that. We ain't know. We didn't have the right equipment. We was little. I know I was what 3, 4 years old. Like, hey, you don't know what you don't know. But specifically early in my upbringing, Salt and Pepper that was a soundtrack to my life. In fact, there was a time in Flint where every elementary school, I feel like, and anybody listening from Flint can quote me if I'm wrong. Y'all can check me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right with this. Remember, every elementary school had roller skates. Every school had skates. And it was a skating party at most of the elementary schools, at least on North Side, because that's where I grew. Was born and raised up until maybe age 7, 8 on the North Side. Then moved to the South Side. I'm a South Side girl. Okay. I'm South Side through and through. But my early years I was on North Side. And we, on Friday nights, the bus would drop us off at, that one elementary school in our neighborhood. And that school from maybe like don't know, maybe 3:34 to about 5 or 6 o'clock. It was, early times. We'll have skating parties. You would have skates. It would be somebody playing music, and they would rent the skates out to the kids. It wasn't, you didn't have to pay for the skates. And we would skate around in the gym for a couple hours until our parents got picked us up. It was a smart way to keep kids engaged and have them having something to do. This was back in two when Flint was baby. Flint was, hey, it was a lot moving in the city. It was a lot of banging. It was a lot of dope going around. It was just the 80s and the 90s. And y'all know how Black communities were targeted across the country. Now, that didn't affect me directly per se. Luckily, my immediate family members came out of that time unscathed, right? I grew up to be a fairly decent human being. But having skating for kids after school was a very smart way to keep kids busy and keep them out of trouble and engaged in something. But I say that because I remember every Friday we would go skating. I would be waiting and waiting and waiting for them to play Get Up by Salt and Pepper. And I was like, I had to be only first or second grade. Had to. I just looked it up. That album, it was on Salt with a Deadly Pepper. That album came out in 1988. I was 6 years old. Y'all, I was 6. So about maybe first grade. Maybe second because I had a late birthday and sometimes, they would play the old tapes. So I'm gonna say first or second grade. I vividly remember that being my song. Yeah, I can't think how crazy that is. As a 6-year-old, your song is Get Up Everybody by Salt and Pepper. I'm talking I had my little skates on. I had my little skates on, skating around the gym, rapping. Word up, I said you got to get up. I was rapping that when I was like 6. That's what I'm telling y'all. I'm a child of hip hop, baby. You can't, hey, you see me, it ain't on me. It's in me, it ain't on me. Okay? Shout out to Merle. But seeing this, right, inducted in this prestigious honor, and thinking back and relating it to my own personal life, I can only imagine the impact that they've had on so many people. They were some of the first women in hip hop to really be out here doing it, to have major success. Style and fashion was on point. They had the asymmetrical bobs and the leather jackets, the blonde hair and the bamboo earrings. I mean, y'all, I love me some salt and pepper. And Spinderella. Shout out to Spinderella. But yeah, to see them, it was just fantastic getting that honor. And then Outkast, best rap duo. Say what you want, best rap duo. It could, hey, who else to duo? UGK, A Ball, MJG, Outkast. Who the other duos? I'm putting Outkast at the top. From day one, I remember when Southern Playlist of Cadillac came out. What was I in middle school? It was 1994. So yeah, I was 6th grade, probably 6th or 7th grade, listening, sneaking and listening. I think probably my sister probably had that. She had to because I was too little to be going to the store and getting it. However, I found a way because I had a lot of tapes. Now that I shouldn't have had some CDs, I shouldn't have had them, but I had them. But that having such an impact on me, especially as a MTV VH1, VH1 probably wasn't even popping back then like that, if I remember correctly. Being a Yo MTV Raps kid, a Rap City the Basement kid, and watching music videos and how important that was to me in my childhood. Outkast, they did it. They was doing it for me. They was doing it for me. And if you follow Outkast and the trends that they've set, they really broke the door down for a certain type of rapper to be able to flourish and succeed in this industry. You got the Tyler the Creators, if the Kanye's, if it wasn't for Outkast being who they were, Andre 3000 and his style and influence, you would not have the type of in the class of rappers today. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't at all. So congratulations to both of those duos and groups, because I was technically Salt and Pepper. They got Spinnerella, so that three is a duo, is a group. On a well-deserved honor. And yeah, I'm just happy to see it. What y'all think? Did y'all watch? That was posting clips all over social media. I think it's on Disney Plus now. I got to check. I might be canceling. I gotta get some of these streamers off. So I'm gonna see if I still got it. I don't know, but if I do, I'm gonna watch. Because those two groups mean a lot to me, especially as it pertains to um, my influences in music and just me appreciating the art. So let me know if you saw it or what your thoughts about it are. You can find me at Canelia on social media. On this week's episode of Black News, we talked about the fantastic time I had at the Boy Is Mine concert this past week in Los Angeles. We also gave some updates about the government shutdown and the Senate leaders who essentially voted to push the bill through regardless of what their own party had to say about it. And we also talked about two significant groups within hip hop that were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this past week, specifically Salt-N-Pepa and Outkast. Hit me up. Let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none, and I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Canelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is canelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.